We get support from Audible. We've all got busy schedules. And I'm sure sometimes you feel like, with all the things you have to do, it's hard to find time for the stuff you love to do, like reading. That's why Audible is so great. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, from bestsellers and new releases to celebrity memoirs, mysteries and thrillers, motivation, wellness, business, and more. Plus, as an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers and new releases. And also, I have to say, I love how the Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere. When you're traveling, working out, walking, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. Cleaning the bathroom has really never been more fun. Let Audible help you discover new ways to laugh, be inspired, or be entertained. New members can try it free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/listening or text listening to 500-500. That's audible.com/listening or text listening to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days. Audible.com/listening.
I mean, no one plans to get sick, and yet, here we are. My name is Matthew Zachary. I survived cancer, a stroke, and COVID-19, and somehow I'm still here. I also survived our stupid, broken healthcare system, and I want to help you survive it too. So let's go make healthcare suck less together. Because you know what? We're all out of patience. Hey, that's the name of the show. Howdy, howdy, friends. Welcome back to the show. A quick reminder, as always, if you like the show, I could really use some validation with a review, a rating, a like, something, or don't, whatever. Man, have we got a great show for you today. Ritesh Patel. That's all you need to know. Wanted this guy on the show for forever. Ritesh is a senior partner of Global Digital Health at Fin Partners, but he's so much more than that. He's really a nerd like me. We crimped cables in the 1990s, and he was at the forefront of like Adobe PDF and Macromedia Flash and all sorts of crazy stuff we take for granted today. In the 1990s, he joined a group called agency.com. Man, that is a domain you want to own. Agency.com was the first evangelicals of the merits of the World Wide Web. Remember, we used to call it the World Wide Web? The tubes of the internet were made valid by people like Ritesh at agency.com. This is a good show. You're going to love it. And he's here. He's in the studio. It's going to be great. Enjoy. Ritesh, here on my show. Oh my God, long time coming.
Glad to be here.
And to see you here live
in person.
Yeah.
This is so cool. I'm glad I could bring some bagels as well, right?
I know. Zucker's not a sponsor, but, hey, come on, Zucker's.
Come on, Zucker's. You've got to sponsor this thing.
Sponsor the show, exactly.
I mean, they're 2 minutes away.
I know.
Right?
Where I want to bond with you first is that, I don't get a lot of agency people on the show. I don't mean like pharma agency, like agency people, like just understand consumer health and whatever, because that's kind of where I started after I was sick. I didn't get to go to grad school. But you're not just an agency guy, you're like an IT nerd agency guy. So let's start in the 90s. How many RJ11 cables did you crimp?
Too many.
Yes.
Built too many computers as well, figured out how to hack phone lines, because you had to do that to get on the internet, right?
Did you look the patch channels?
We had patch channels. We had a thing when I joined agency.com, we'd just moved to a new office. Before that, they were in the Time Life building in one room where they had what they called
the old Time Life building.
The old Time Life building. They
Not
had
the fancy nice one in Columbus Circle.
Exactly.
Right.
So they were given this one room as an office. They were managed to cram 25 people in this room. They had one patch panel in the wall that connected directly to the fiber, which was great. So they created an Ethernet, sneakernet as they called it.
Sneakernet, yeah.
They basically had wire running from the patch panel down to all the PCs connecting in the back, taped together.
Was it on the same floor, though?
Oh.
Because I've drilled holes through floors.
Oh, yeah, no, this was on the same. They just taped it with duct tape, right?
Duct tape for the win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you imagine, I do a show on Fridays with Kyle Shannon, the co-founder of agency.com, and it came out because one day we were sort of chatting and he said something and I said, no, that wasn't right. This is how it happened. And we realized that we have these great memories of Web 1.0,
right?
But we're forgetting them. So we started a thing called youshoulda.com.
Nice.
And basically it's you should have been there.
Yeah.
And we interview these amazing people. We interviewed Jeff Dackis, for example, the founder of OneDrop, Before that, he was the founder of Razorfish,
Yeah.
one of the original agencies,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you hear their stories about how HTML was about 16 lines and you had to figure out how to move graphics around. And there was no sort of,
This is like life before Dreamweaver.
Exactly. I remember when Netscape first came out, we were like, whoa,
Yep.
you can do pictures.
I know. With that big N square on the
There
left
you
side.
go. And then the revolving E for the Internet Explorer.
So I started college in 92.
Okay.
So when I was 18. And I was the first student at Binghamton to lobby for a Ethernet port in my dorm. So I went to the computer pot and I said, I want to, because the graduating class, I knew someone that was in there and they said, I think they're starting to roll out in dorm connections. I said, I want to be so it was like Cat 1. What were we up to back then? Cat 2, Cat 3. And I had a patch in and I used the VAX system. And I was telling people like, back then, before Netscape, before Mozilla, we had like Telnet, Waze, Gopher, Talk. Remember Talk?
I remember Talk.
Just for the listeners, so Talk like made a full like 21st century rebrand because now that you're in Google Docs, you could see people like make typos and delete them. We did that in 1992. We would talk to each other in live and we'd all type horribly.
Character based, exactly.
So
it was awful.
Everything old is new again.
It's so funny. When we moved here from England, we moved to Vienna, Virginia first, and we bought the house from a guy who worked for AOL at the time. They just launched. He had a T1 in the house.
That's crazy.
And he said, oh, you could just keep it. It's got a year subscription, so you've got it for another year. So for a year, we had
T1?
the fastest computer speed in the neighborhood from this guy.
Did your modem
amazing.
like just blow up on fire?
Completely. I had to get 2 new modems, because I had a 14.4 modem, and
Yeah.
I had to get a 64, and that even blew up. So
I remember the second week of college. This is the best part. We've lost half our audience.
Oh, I know, probably. Yeah, we've geeked out completely. Sorry,
I
guys.
remember like going to one of the local mall stores, some pre-Comp USA type of mom and pop in the mall, and they had was it a 300 or a 600 baud modem?
600.
600.
Yeah,
and I bought a 600 baud modem for $80. And that's what I used to jack into the thing. So I dial out through, you still had to dial, it wasn't like a direct IP connection.
Correct.
And that's how we got to talk and waste and all that crap.
How far we've come, right? Look at this.
But that's the best part. Like, if only.
If
like,
only.
The crazy kids have no idea, right? All right. Going back to like the, if only we knew, like, what was that? You called it?
You should have.
You should have. Like,
You should have been there.
how relevant is it for us to educate millennials and Gen Zers about what they've been through, or is it okay to let them take it for granted?
Well, it's twofold. We did You Should Have for a reason of capturing the stories for those early pioneers who did do some amazing things, which we're benefiting from now, right? However, I think we owe it to the generation before to remember things they should so they don't make the mistakes again. There are some big things that they should know about that we don't teach that happened in the world, as we know. And when it comes to our industry, the technology that we use, all of those things, much to my chagrin to my children, I regale them with stories about some of the things we had to do. When
And
we
their eye
wanted to
roll
access
was how much?
Yes, exactly. The youngest one specifically. But he did say the other day, thank you for teaching me how to read a map because my phone died.
Yeah.
Right?
Reading a map.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's like the National Lampoon's Vacation, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a map.
Yeah.
We used to take these trips like any Americans we did in our crappy station wagon across the country.
With the book?
With the giant book.
Yeah.
You would call AAA. They'd send
go.
you the map with the free yellow outline
AAA
recommended route.
or trip tickets, right?
Yeah, it was crazy.
So I think some of those things, technology, while it's really good and we enjoy it, and unfortunately we now live on our phones, there are things that the phone shouldn't do or you should try and avoid and maybe look around a little bit. As I came here today, everybody on the subway from 42nd Street down had their eyes and they were completely glued to the phone.
Yep.
I was just sitting around looking around because, one, I haven't experienced New York in a long time as well.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating that sometimes we need to just take our eyes off the thing that's completely encompassing us.
And remember that there's a world outside your phone.
Exactly. And there are other people, right?
Other people?
Other people. Crazy, right? I've tried to resurrect the curry club. I do this monthly curry club where we get people together for a curry, a beer, and a chat. That's it. You put your phone away, you come in, I do the menu, I do the seating, you sit where I tell you, right? That sort of thing. But I do it purposefully because I want to get people to get to know each other. And over the course of many years, we've had people move in together. We've had people get married from the curry club. We've had people start businesses at the curry club. because they sat opposite somebody and actually talked to them and got to know them really well over a meal, right? It's those little things, that technology and all of this stuff I fear for. So I think it is incumbent on us to let the millennials know that there are certain things that they should not take for granted.
So what's your take on eye contact? Still necessary?
Big time. Big time. I had two things I taught all three of my boys. When you shake somebody's hand, shake it purposefully, look them in the eye and say, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Right?
I have 11-year-old twins, and we are doing our best to remind them that they should be looking at people.
Yeah.
And they just got their phones, and we're really monitoring how there was a story a while ago, like kids are growing like tails in their neck or something. Because they're
Have
getting.
you seen the thing on the Wall Street Journal this weekend about TikTok and the side impact that people think? There's teenage girls in America. Originally, when I read this, I thought it was an Onion article. Teenage girls in America in the Wall Street Journal are showing tics, signs of
like behavioral tics, just from too much use?
Craziness that they do on TikTok. And now it's becoming part of their body cycle.
Oh, no. It's
muscle memory, yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah, so it's those kinds of things that we need to remind folks about a bit, I think.
This is like digital eugenics.
Yeah. We are being, look, our behavior is being changed completely. If you think about it, in the work that I do, and I talk to people about why they should engage with their customers in the way the customers want to get engaged. In the last 18 months, our behavior has changed completely and our muscle memory has changed completely. I cannot remember the last time I went to a liquor store. Drizzly delivers it to my door.
Drizzly. Not a sponsor, but they should be a sponsor.
They should. In fact, we should talk to them.
Yes.
But, I started doing that in March last year, and it worked. Fresh Direct works.
Cosmo.com used to work.
Right,
Everything old is new again.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's take a quick break, and I'll be right back with Ritesh with more useless information from the 1990s. All right, see you in a bit, folks.
Has your chronic illness made it difficult to continue working in the traditional way? Want to learn how to find and create flexible remote work that both accommodates your chronic illness and generates an income? Join the Patients Getting Paid membership, a community of chronicpreneurs where people just like you find workshops and trainings, weekly updated condition-specific gigs, twice monthly coaching calls, co-workings, accountability, and the kindest community to support you on your path to make money while working from anywhere and taking good care of yourself. Learn more or join us at patientsgettingpaid.com.
We all struggle with feeling like there's not enough time in the day to be productive personally or professionally. We all struggle to make our time matter. It's time to take control. It's time to start investing in the corporation of you. At Athena, they've helped over 700 ambitious professionals achieve more by connecting them with best-in-class, globally remote executive assistants. Athena executive assistants go beyond basic administration tasks. They help you make time matter through the art of delegation. They believe delegation is the superpower of all highly successful people. And your personal EA will help you get there. Your EA is a one-on-one long-term partner to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. Take back your time. Join the waitlist at athenago.com. That's athenago.com.
We're back. He's drinking coffee. We're here on the radio. I mean, I'm going to own this. I still call it radio, even though it's like online talk radio. Because I think someone needs to keep the word radio alive.
Radio is alive. I think radio is alive and well, and we should definitely call it radio, and you should keep doing that. I do 2 radio shows. I do one on Wednesday for a radio station in the UK, internet radio station. And I've been doing my own on Sunday afternoons for 7 years now.
What's it
called? I call it the radio show. It's the Patel Show.
That's it.
Yeah.
Why not?
So I call it my weekly radio show.
Because when I was offered an internet talk radio show in 2006, before I even started Stupid Cancer, and I was like, what the hell is internet talk radio? I believed Howard Stern and everything. And, Sirius was just becoming a thing that wasn't in your cars yet. There was nothing. You had to listen to it on an app on your Palm Treo or whatever it was.
Well, we built a custom player for it. when we launched Sirius, there was a custom player, web player that you had to use. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Internet Explorer 7?
Yeah.
No, it was back then.
3.
3, exactly. It's crazy.
So yeah.
So I had like the first internet talk radio show, and I just happened to be blathering about healthcare, cancer, whatnot. But it was live. And I think that's another thing people miss, is the idea of something that you can't listen to again until Hulu's invented 30 years later.
Yeah, I agree. And my radio show, the live plays, I get maybe 30, 40 people who tune in live on Sunday afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
This Sunday I had 11. They all know each other. There's a chat feature on the console that they can talk to each other as well as me. But podcasts, it gets automatically then set up on podcast.
Right.
And I get a lot of people saying, hey, I just listened to this. Can I tune in live? I'm like, here's the link at 2:00 Eastern time. So there is a lot of that.
I feel like maybe we've lost the art of finding time to listen to things. Yeah, my show was live for 3 years. So if you didn't block out an hour on Monday nights, Eastern or Pacific, you missed the show. And I think we had no choice back then, because if you want to listen, you had to find the time. Has the digital revolution, healthcare or otherwise, gotten rid of our need to find time?
I don't think so. Here's, I go on a sort of a impossible task every year, right? So when I started in healthcare in 2010, I vowed to get rid of the fax machine.
How's that going?
Obviously didn't do well. Last year or 2 years ago, I wanted to get rid of PowerPoint for presentations to clients for pitches. Let's have a conversation. We'll tell you how we can fix your problem. I failed miserably there, right?
How's that going too?
Yeah, that's not going well.
Let's get Prezi to give us some sponsorship money.
Come on, Prezi, give us some money to get going. And so, I think, look at what Clubhouse did last year when they launched, and everybody was craving that live thing.
Yes, it was the first, what is this live thing of which you speak?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we need more of that.
They've done a good job. Sure. What's your take on Clubhouse, like a year later?
I think they were, in a moment in time, great. I don't know if they've continued. I continue. There's a couple of rooms that I participate in. Amir and Khalil, who's the head of the CNS Summit and the DTRA does,
which is coming up soon as of this taping. Yes.
Yeah, November 8th, I think. Right. They do a Clubhouse session on Fridays around decentralized trials, which is really, really good. And the other one I do is on a Thursday, which is healthcare professionals. There's a generation that's on there, and we, in this room, you get maybe 200-300 healthcare professionals around all of the things they face. It's open mic. Tell us, what are you going through? And it's fascinating to hear some of the things that they're going through at that. We have a generation of doctors over the last 18 months who will have PTSD for sure in the next year.
Absolutely, yes.
Everything they've signed up for to do, they can't. Right? You can't save lives. You can't do this, can't do that. So it's a fantastic Clubhouse room with these doctors, young doctors. How do I do this? How do I get? Because they're not talking to their peers. Everybody's on lockdown in a full kit.
Right.
You can't go to somebody and say, hey, Matt, I've got this patient that's got this. Can you help me? Because they're too busy trying to save somebody's life on a ventilator. So this is a forum where they talk to each other and get help and stuff. It's really good.
Is it more like mental health peer support life hackery, or is it actual clinical doing a better job as a doctor life hackery?
It's mental health, branding yourself. How do you look after yourself kind of hackery?
Right.
Very much so. But there's a need for that. And so why not?
Hands down, there was always a need for it. Now it's just 1,000 times worse.
Exactly.
So my biggest beef with the sort of, I'm never not going to wear a nonprofit hat. I'm out of the nonprofit space for 3 years now, which is crazy. But this patient part of me, I'm 25 years out. I never, I never won't be the founder of Super Cancer, never won't be a cancer patient, survivor. But I think where I still see a lot of grievance from the patient community goes back to this thing we've been talking about for 15 years. Like, it's the patient conference with no patients at it, or they're token patients paid for by the conference people to trot out patients and give them awards. And yeah, do these people deserve awards? Yeah, but my grievances with I for Pharma. I've been very vocal about that for a long time now.
Me too.
And you're on the same side as me. But is there ever any monetized value to the conference organizers to have patients there? And if so, what role could those patients play in helping accelerate drug development? And to channel like a Harun Jeff, how much should they be paid? Because we didn't ask for expertise. We kind of got stuck because we nearly died and have this expertise. Where is the value? What is the stock market of suffering that belongs in bringing us into these conversations? Because clearly we help monetize drug development.
The current slew of conference organizers will never, ever do that. There's no point in talking to them.
I feel so validated. Thank you.
Yeah, they'll never do that. That's not, to them, it's just it's like adding digital to a campaign.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait, we need this digital thing. Let's go find a patient.
Those are 3 good syllables.
Yeah. So I don't think you'll get anybody. I went to Health Kicking and Screaming this week. When they launched it in Las Vegas, I refused to go. Ogilvy were like, you have to go. You're our chief digital officer.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not going. It's people who are going to be self-congratulating themselves, talking on the stage, and not a single thing is going to impact the patient at the end of the day. They're going to leave that conference to say, I met the CEO of so-and-so. So what?
Yeah.
What did you do? How did you move the needle? And I learned that early on. Look, I got into healthcare completely by accident in 2010, right? I joined Inventive. My first client was Novartis, and the product was a cystic fibrosis product. Mm-hmm. And that's the first question I asked. I said, where are the patients that impact this? Like, what do you mean? Like, well, you're going to have a mother's program with mothers who have kids suffering from, but what about the kids themselves?
Right.
Right. So we create.
And this is totally foreign.
Yeah. They looked at me like I was from Mars. Yeah. Right. I'm like, but they're the ones who are benefiting. So surely you want their story. You want to know about them and what they do. So we created a bloggers program at the time. We created a whole social media campaign around it using this new thing called Facebook and Twitter.
Before it was horribly evil and ruining the world?
It was before. We created our own newsfeed. We created a custom wall for medical legal because they didn't want comments, and Facebook hadn't figured out how to turn comments and sharing comments. Yeah. So we built all that. Won an award internally. The lady who was the CMO at the time, Joanna Roselle, kudos and hats off to her. She got it straight away. She's like, absolutely, you're right. We need to do this. And she won an award. And it was funny because the CF product, tobramycin, had been in the market for 20, 30 years. It was the only thing. And Gilead was going to come out with a new one shortly. And I remember one of the bloggers sending me an email saying, hey, Gilead has just done an outreach to me to talk about be a brand ambassador. And I said no to them because you guys have been so good to us. And that's the benefit that pharma just does not understand. They look at it from a monetary perspective when they should be looking at from how do I build a community of patients who we listen to and then we can get, partnerships with.
The thing is that this is not an old conversation. I mean,
2010.
Yeah. I refer to this a million times. Like, it's like in Jurassic Park when Jeff Goldblum's like, where are the dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour? They're not here. It's a dinosaur tour. Yeah. And has anyone been able to, I think, loaded question, I kind of know the answer to this. So many health economists have demonstrated that if you invest in the end user being the patient, in as much as you invest in the end user being the prescriber, that you will save money over time. The 30,000-foot question I keep asking these days, and that this is my new hill to die on, is who's protecting that patient to make sure they get what they need, right? Because if it's not in the interest of pharma because they're not woke yet, like the CF Novartis people, and it's not in the interest of the hospital because they're beholden to a certain, payer value crap nonsense, where is that protection? I'll bolster that with one quick note, which is that it's a lot easier now to not die from things because there's more drugs for it, which makes it complicated, but a little easier tongue-in-cheek. So that poor schmuck that gets in the cancer store or the cystic fibrosis store, how do they know what to do?
Yeah, and that's the $1 million question, right? So if you look at look at me, I've canceled on you 3 times because of my eye issue that I've been going through. I've been through 4 ophthalmologists. Each one has a different solution and opinion. So our healthcare system is a little broken as well. Right. There's an amazing group called the MedNet, and 2 people started that. And it's for oncologists. It's a social network of oncologists, but it's not really a social network because the 2 founders had their father going through a problem. They're both oncologists, so they called who they thought was an expert, who gave them an opinion. So the wife called an expert. So the husband called another friend who was an expert, who gave them a completely different opinion. So they're like, this doesn't jive. Right. Everyone's giving different opinions of where and what and who and what to use for treatment and everything else. So I think to your question, it's a community of folks that need together to share that knowledge. You look at something like a Figure 1, where doctors post cases and then experts give their opinion. You then take the 80% of the opinions that are the same and you go, okay, that looks like it's what it is, as opposed to the 10% that gave you 6 different opinions because you're still then chasing your needles, right? So if you can get a community of patients together, sharing their stories and engaging with them, which is what patients have been doing forever, you're like me, you're going through this like I am. I'm not the only one. But then starting to share more than just our stories, but hey, you know what? At the end of the day, this ophthalmologist fixed this eye problem, and they figured out that you needed a retinal specialist, which is where I'm going next, right? As opposed to an ophthalmologist. So sharing that stuff is the way to go. Doctors are too busy. The payers are not interested, really, at the end of the day.
Yep.
So their thing is very much bottom line oriented.
So if you're sitting here in anecdote land, basically opinions are like, I could say this because I'm Jewish, but 2 Jews in a room with 8 opinions. Don't spit your coffee out. Spit his coffee out.
By the Patels or the Jews of India.
Yes, exactly.
We're
Yeah.
good.
So food and guilt, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Indians, Italians, the Jews, it's the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the Greeks too, with a little more Windex. See, you got a movie reference.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Ring the bell. Get a
Ring
movie
the bell.
reference.
Exactly.
And it comes down to the fact that, if we're living in a data-driven world and there's 10,000 new approvals every year, where do the human beings that happen to be the doctors get their solace? They have kids to hug. They have wives to come home to. They have families. Have we stretched ourselves to the absolute brink where the system that we say is broken is working exactly as planned? And I love the way that Dave Contorno says that all the time.
Yeah.
What needs to happen? There's no magic pill. Where are we going? Answer every question accurately.
Okay. So I think there are 4 things in that question that you had.
Yeah.
The first one is, yes, the healthcare system is designed and is working the way it's been designed, for sure. There are some people who get great care, either by design or by accident. There are others who don't. We are in the danger, though, of going into an environment for 3 people or constituents in this paradigm. The physicians are getting more and more burnt out because of the demands that are being put on them by the big buildings and the administrators of the building. We've created, data entry clerks of them because of the EHR installations. Mm-hmm. But there are some good companies like Augmedix and Suki who are trying to fix that, right? Augmedix has taken the Google Glass and connected it to Epic. So if you're a doctor now, I can sit and talk to you, Matt, look you in the eye, and then say, hey, Glass, pull up Matt's record. It'll pull up right in front of me in the eye. Hey, Glass, put in Matt's record that he needs to go for this test, and the test is done, and it's in the chart notes. So things are going that way, but we are going into burnout, particularly over the last 18 months or so. We've got to do something there. The third one is on the payment model. So the reimbursement model has to change. It's not one size fits all, right? What they've done is they've taken the 80% who are healthy who are paying for the 20% who are not, right? I've seen more people get bankrupted from cancer than anything else. It's not right. So change the model. If you suffer from a malady that's more expensive, this is your payment model and your reimbursement model. Then you don't. The last one, the most alarming, is the disruption of the GP. The GP is being completely unbundled by technology primarily, telemedicine, things like that. Yeah. So I've been on a big kick this year. Let's see how it goes coming up in 2022.
You're not trying to kill the facts again, are you?
No, this time I'm going to go, the pharmacist should be able to provide GP services in locations where there's no doctors.
I love that idea.
Right? That's the kick I'm on right now.
Well, on that note, we're going to take another break. And for the first time in 200 episodes, we're doing a 3rd segment.
Yo!
We'll be back with Ritesh Patel right after this.
Excellent.
Third segment. God, you win the internet. Or actually, you win the bitnet.
I was just going to say, I win stupid cancers net.
You win everything else.
Thank you.
Our first 3rd segment. I'm enjoying this call. Maybe if you're my one listener, we have no listeners now.
I know.
But I want to pick up on this because it's at the fax machine. And can you figure out where the inherent risk is and why we have not adopted a better platform than the fax machine still? Is it lawyers? Is it, what's the backstory behind that?
I think it's change. It's pure change management because the process is that, right? I have a great story. When I got married, I watched my mother-in-law up in the north of England cut the ends of the beef and put it in the oven. So I asked her, why do you do that? Does it give it more flavor? Is it better? Does the juices flow out on the sides? She said, no, my mom used to do it. So I went over to grandma. I said, why do you cut the ends of the beef?
Because my mom used to do it.
And their answer was,
tradition.
In the old days, the ovens were smaller. So you had to cut the ends off for the beef to fit in. And the 2 ends were then used in the pan to create grease for the gravy. And so now the ovens are modern, but we're still doing the same thing. And I think that's a serious problem that we have, is there's no will to say, can we do this better, right? Even the companies like Lash and Cover My Meds, who are providing an amazing service of prior authorization and managing your reimbursements, are relying on the fax machine because the payer said, I need a signature. Well, I can get a mortgage and refinance my house on an iPad with a signature.
Right.
Why can't I get insurance? I can get my insurance. I can get an Allstate insurance for my house and my car using a signature on my iPad, but I can't get United Health to give me insurance for my healthcare unless I fax in a signed piece of paper.
You can get $100 million equity fund into your startup online with DocuSign, right?
There you go. And that's the problem, right? So you can do it. Technically, it's completely available, but there aren't people within that chain who are willing to stand up and say, we can do this better. I will either propose, and it all goes down to empire, territory, and politics at the end of the day, right? So.
Well, let's go back to your pharmacist thing. I don't know enough about the pharmacist world, the human beings at the drugstores, because, at CVS, it's this price, and they don't control that. Across the street, it's this price, and we've lost the mom and pop model. To the best of my understanding, are pharmacists the last bastion of unstressed provider?
They are stressed, but in a different way.
Right.
So in the UK, if I have a general question about something I'm not feeling well, I can go into a Boots and talk to the pharmacist. Mm-hmm. And the pharmacist will say, okay, based on what you just told me, in the back shelf here, here's some medication, go take it. And if it doesn't work, call your doctor. So you're allowed to do that.
This is a non-prescription type of solution?
Non-prescription,
okay.
Exactly. In the US, they're not reimbursed for that. The other thing is, a lot of medication outside of the United States comes pre-packaged in blister packs.
Right.
So when you get prescribed something, they don't have to count the pills. They just give you it.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's your prescription. Because it's all pre-packaged.
Right.
Here in the US, it's not. So we've made pill counting jockeys of our pharmacists who are PharmDs. They have all the experience of a GP. They have gone through the same medical school and knowledge as a GP has done.
Right.
They may not be as, accolades and accredited, but they have enough of the knowledge of the body and everything that you're going through.
The pushing pills is so beneath them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're stressed as hell as well because they have numbers to meet if you're a Walgreens or a CVS or a Walmart. So at Health last week, the head of CVS and the head of Walmart Health were talking about how they're going to change the model. But until they are able to get reimbursed for that from CMS and HHS, I don't see a change coming because
is there any incentive for that? Like again, if there's no money in it, it's not going to happen. That's the sad part of this system, right?
But Walmart and CVS have the power and the capability. If you got Walgreens, Walmart, and CVS together, and they went to government, they have enough lobbyists that they pay for to say to HHS and CMS, look, this hospital just closed down in West Virginia, leaving 500 people to drive 400 miles to the nearest hospital now. But there's a Walmart right there. We're going to convert a section of that Walmart to a clinic. And we want the pharmacist to be able to provide GP services. Why not? Right? So, as I said, I'm on this kick next year. Get the pharmacist to be able to provide care, particularly the remote parts of this country where there is a Walmart or a Walgreens, a CVS, a Rite Aid,
right,
or one of those.
They're already there.
They're already there. Target, they're already there in those locations. So why not give the pharmacist in that building the capability to provide basic services to people who need it, right? And then you go to the specialist, to the hospital, to the cancer center.
Even if it's 400 miles away.
Yeah, because you can't do that at the pharmacy. And GP can't do that either. GP can't,
But that's a no-no. We know that's going to be the case.
But things are changing. Look, Fox Health, which is a startup, a pharmacy startup, started out to do delivery of pharmacy to you. So they would deliver your prescription once it hits their specialty pharmacy system within 2 hours. 50 states. So if Cosmo.com of pharmacists, that's what they built, right? This Amit Gir, smart guy who built this thing, built it for Oxner Health, right? The health system. He changed his model during COVID because people were coming to him saying, well, if you can deliver this, can you do this? So now, if you were an infusion, a guy comes to your house with a fridge with the medicine in it, drops it off. 20 minutes later, a nurse arrives, does your infusion in your house, and leaves, and then somebody comes and picks the fridge up and takes it to the next house.
Uber Meds.
right? So why can't we do cancer infusions in the house? Why do I have to go to a community cancer center?
Right.
So that's what the pharmacist can do.
I mean, everything literally old is new again. It's like in Forrest Gump when the doctor came to the house and fixed his leg.
That's right.
Like, are we really going back to where we came from?
Exactly. And I think it's a
The
good thing.
gig economy for healthcare?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see why not. I
That's
don't see why
amazing.
not, right? Why not? Let the patients get the care that they deserve when they want it and need it, right? So I think that's a model that could work really, really well. The technology is there. There are physicians that are burnt out in big hospitals, so give them the opportunity to continue doing what they love,
Right.
which is healing people, and then combine the technology and the people and create an Uber-like service for this stuff, right?
So is this like your new big hill? Like if you had to
Yes.
pick the top 3 things that you're fighting for the next 10 years?
I would say I continue to fight to have the patient involved, particularly in the pharma world that I work in. I remember talking to somebody at a major pharma company 5 years ago who said, we've now got we're patient-centric. We had one patient speak at our annual event. I'm like, really?
Wait, I'm going to go barf. I'll be right back.
Right? So I'm still on that kick. I did a webinar with Jen and Grace and those guys not too long ago. I saw them at Health. I'm going to do another one. Let's keep going.
Right.
We have to push that. The second thing is, the big hill I'm working on at the moment is the pharmacist. I'm big. My passion next year is how do I bring care to the middle of nowhere in America, to those who are really desperate for it. What can we do to do that?
And that's the Walmart, Target, Walgreens plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Work with the pharmacists. Yeah.
Kroger's.
Whoever's got a pharmacist,
Yeah.
right? Because they all have them. They're
Yeah.
prescribed it. If they're doing prescriptions, they should be able to talk to somebody and
I
say,
remember when my supermarket got a pharmacy. I'm like, why am I going to Walbaum's for my pills?
Yeah.
Like, that makes us, but here we are.
yeah. And there's independent pharmacists out there who provide a service in their neighborhoods
Right.
too. We've got 2 in Montclair that I go to. I don't go to CVS.
Right.
Right? I go to those guys. So I'd encourage the listeners here to support your local pharmacist, because I think that they have a place that they can play in this health ecosystem.
Yeah,
that we
because
have.
they can compound better than anyone.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
know that for a fact.
There you go.
My father-in-law was a pharmacist for a million years.
There you go. So
He
you
did
know.
private, he did hospital.
Why give more money to Amazon?
Right.
They've got enough already.
They're launching people to space. Come on. Why not?
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that's the second hill. And the third hill that I'm still trying to convince people to do is that digital does matter and people do use their phones for other things.
Right.
But that's a different story.
But they're still looking down at their Apple Health.
Unfortunately.
Right, exactly.
I think Apple will own the patient. I think this whole thing that they've got going around privacy and how Apple is private and secure against Facebook, it's a red herring. I think what they're trying to do and should do rightly is convince individual human beings who are holding their devices that this device is secure. And so you can trust it for your healthcare data.
Well, what are the odds Facebook renames itself Orange?
Yeah, can you imagine?
You have any bets on that?
No, none at all. I actually, frankly, don't care. I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook.
Oh, of course. I feel like it's when Philip Morris became Altria.
I
like,
know.
oh, they're so altruistic. We're good.
Well, did you see Philip Morris just bought a drug company?
What?
Yeah,
Is it
they're
a
going
cannabis
into
company?
healthcare.
Or?
This is the irony of all ironies. They bought an asthma inhaler company.
Wait, I already threw up. I can't throw
I
up
know.
again.
Can you imagine? So apparently Philip Morris, that causes all the lung issues, has bought a company that now fixes those issues.
That's amazing.
Amazing times.
Lego, destroys the lower part of your foot for parents with kids in your house. Makes, and I've said this on the show repeatedly, they make a house shoe for parents to buy that has the right amount of styrofoam engineered for the weight of stepping on a Lego.
Oh my God. I wish I'd had that when my
I
kids
know,
were young.
I know.
The
Go figure.
amount of times I screamed.
The cause-event solution to all of life's problems is a Lego.
Yeah, exactly.
And a Lego shoe.
It's amazing. Amazing.
So what are you working on these days?
So I just joined Fin Partners. It's been 6 weeks after 7 years at Ogilvy.
Right.
It's actually very refreshing, and
It's not a chocolate building, though.
it's not the
For the
chocolate.
listeners, the
chocolate
Ogilvy
factory.
building was called the chocolate. It was built
The
in a
chocolate
It
factory.
was like the old Nestle chocolate factory. They converted to the Ogilvy building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the tracks are still there in the bottom
Yes,
of the building.
I
That
saw
took
them, yeah.
the chocolate out once it was done. It was a great ride. It's sort of bittersweet. Ogilvy is an amazing company. I've learned huge amounts, but it was time to move on. And Gil Bash and Noah Finn were incredible. And tremendously pushy.
Yeah.
But an incredible culture. So I'm blessed. I've met a few of my colleagues now in person, one or two. So what next for me is, how do we build this digital practice at Fin? How do we really grow an environment where we do take into account some of the things I'm talking about? I think
when you start your paid patient advocate board of directors, I'll join it.
perfect. You can be the chairperson for it. How's that?
You know what? I'm happy to do it.
You and Jen.
Me and Jen, by all means, I love Grace to death too. Grace has to be on there. Stacey Hurd has to be on there. Total
Stacey's
shout
gonna
out
be
to all
on
these
there.
people.
There you go.
But I feel like if I could join you in like just this diehard North Star or anyone in your position is, can we quantifiably prove, I'll use lots of fancy words here, that involving the right patients economically benefits drug development? If that hasn't yet been proven, what does proven mean? And when will that be monetizable at scale to all Americans?
Craig Lipset.
Love Craig.
Craig and I were talking about this a while ago, about involving patients at the design of the protocol.
Yes.
Because if you get enough patients to help you design that trial protocol, the rest becomes so much easier down the line, right? So that's where we should start.
Well, we got to kill the lawyers first.
Well, yeah.
Like Shakespeare.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think, but I think there is a way to do it. And it's maybe not the big guys, but it's the smaller guys. It's the biotechs that have got some really
They
interesting
can take better
pipeline.
risks too.
Exactly. And they're I'm learning because of Fin, I'm working with a few of these biotechs. And they have a different way of working, and they're very innovative, and they have an open mind. Well, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's try it. Where in pharma, the first thing that you get is, that's a great idea. Let me go talk to medical and legal to see if I can do it.
Famous last words
Right?
every time.
Exactly. So I think maybe where we start next year is a paid panel of patients who work with these new biotechs who've got an open mind, and prove it with one of those before we go there. So maybe that's what we should do.
All right, last question to blow your mind. So in the 1960s, Ralph Nader pulled a whammy on this country by demonstrating to the insurance companies that just by paying for the fucking seatbelts, you'll save more money over all the claims. Is there a possibility of a version of that today in the next 10 years where just paying for everything, I'm not talking single payer, covering the cost of these things will save you money in the long term?
There already is. There are HEOR experts out there who've proven
Wait,
all
it
of
was
this.
an acronym. What does that mean?
So health economics outcomes researchers.
Done.
So these health economic outcome researchers do study all this stuff. They study it at the drug level. They study it at a GDP level. They study at the global level. There are HEOR experts in the World Health Organization. There are HEOR experts at every insurance company. There are HEOR experts in the pharma business. They're all trying to do this, right? So the HEOR expert at the pharma side tries to convince somebody to reimburse for a cancer drug, for example.
Right.
We now have this new indication for prostate. You need to cover it. And here's why. Let me show you the model. We've done it. These are the number of patients with, breast cancer with this new indication. This is how much our drug will cost. This is what you reimburse. But look at the long-term care capability. Look at what its impact is on economics, all of those things. So there are people who do that. They're not well published.
So
That's
they
the
need
problem.
visibility.
They need visibility.
Good thing we have a national audience and
Exactly.
of millions of people here.
Exactly.
Let's figure that out.
Right? So let's figure out a couple of HEOR experts.
Yeah.
Maybe take one or two of those and let's talk about the studies they do. And maybe, I know a few myself. We could get them to be on the show to talk about how they go through what they go through. Who do they present it to and what's the outcome?
I can just see a reality show called, what? So you think you can HEOR?
There you go.
HEOR Got Talent?
Yeah. I was HEOR'd. Yeah.
Done. Perfect. Ritesh Patel, God, this is so worth it. I feel like you could be here like every day.
Matt, thank you
We
so
gotta
much
get
for having
you already
me.
have 2 shows. You don't need a 3rd show.
I'll come often. Now I know where your office is and where this building is. And, we've got the bagel shop next door as well.
Zucker's
so
not a sponsor, but come on, Zucker's.
I'm going to pop in there in a minute and
I'm going to make you in
say,
charge
hey.
of our sponsorships.
There you go.
Fantastic. So what I didn't even look at, what's your new title at Fin?
So the title is Senior Partner Global Digital Health.
Right, but that's just syllables. You're like
Yes.
the epic of all epic.
I'm trying to not be the epic of all epic, but I'm trying to just make a difference as much as I can.
I'll just say RJ11 Crimper.
There you go.
And fan of Cosmo.com, ripcosmo.com.
Cosmo.com.
All right, thanks for coming in out of patience, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
That's all for today, folks. If you like today's show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, follow us on social, and tell all your friends to listen. Out of Patience with Matthew Zachary is a product of OffScrip Media. Our executive producer is Matthew Zachary. Our senior producers are Brianna Seeley, Jen Oranger, and Andrew McDowell. It is mixed and edited by Brianna Seeley. Our theme music is by the Mike Van Allen Quintet and by Mara. For advertising and media inquiries, email media@offscrip.com. Hit us up at contact@offscrip.com to share comments, feedback, and make recommendations. For more information, visit offscrip.com.